What's up, everybody? So the setting of 40k is very over the top. Everything is. And the fact that everything is, it works. If you had certain things, faction-wise, whatever in the setting that weren't over the top, that were more reasonable, things would feel a little off, right? The fact that everything feels like they could be the big bad in any other setting and could destroy the galaxy means that we have an insane setting where there is only war in 40k, and they're able to stick around. Because if a couple of factions didn't feel that way, they would feel like the odd ones out. So let's talk about over the top nature by discussing one faction per ramble and giving just some fun hype level of thought ramblings on them. And I thought I'd kick it off with a force that is equally terrifying as it is silly, the Orks. Orks in space, right? The space orcs, the greenskins, the sentient-ish fighting fungus that they are. Imagine you are a grand overseer biological engineer trying to create the ultimate biological weapon, but you don't know how to make a hive mind, so Tyranids are off the table. Can't make something like that. What do? Well, you'd want to engineer a force that thrives on fighting and competition, that grows stronger from it. Clearly, you want a force that wouldn't shy from a fight and actually enjoys it. So you engineer that into there. You would make them physically durable and capable and strong and able to overcome with sheer violence and determination. Because melee combat is a thing in 40k, so you want them to have the ability to excel there. You'd want them to be able to multiply quickly. You wouldn't want to have a whole gestation process and then a maturation process. You want them to be able to basically multiply, and when they are ready to go, they are ready to go. And there's no growing required outside of the initial gestation period. And if you want to do that in a way that doesn't compromise your fighting force, there are no non-combatants in a living weapon setup like this, and therefore you wouldn't want to have any taken out of the fight for pregnancy type stuff. Eggs require defense because they're exposed, but something like a fungus, which can spore and root into the ground, that seems like that'll do. Likewise, you don't want to have to train this force because you want them to be very numerous, and training millions upon millions of things, especially being a living weapon that they are, and which is going to take heavy casualties because you don't care about them. You don't want to have to constantly train every generation, of which there will be millions of. So you need that to be genetically encoded, instinctual, in a way. Could we do that? And what would it look like? Well, I have great news for you. It's called the Space Orks. They are all this and even a little bit more. The little bit of extra icing on that cake is their belief structure. You see, yes, orcs multiply by sporing. They are fungus in that regard. A little mushroom is the only indication that something might be amiss under the ground, and if you have mushrooms native to that planet already, you might not be able to tell. But underneath is a sack full of danger, because an orc is reaching maturity. Once an orc reaches maturity and comes out of the ground, there's no further training required. They are ready to go. Of course, they'll need equipment, but even without equipment, they are brutish and dangerous. So, that works. And one singular orc can spore multiple times, and if they are killed off, they still can spore for a period of time after death. This leads to an orc being able to single-handedly have multiple spores go out pretty easily over his lifespan. Combine that by a gigantic factorial, if you will, and you have the ability to seed a whole planet. Even without the orcs, if you just have the fungal spores, you could seed a planet with a meteor shower or whatever else to kind of make it seem, harmless. You could seed a planet with a whole bunch of spores to basically reach maturation at the same time and burst forth from the ground and attack the enemy completely unawares. Okay. Well, they gotta want to fight, and boy do the orcs want to fight. They love getting stuck in. They seek out a good fight. Their master plan is to have a good time fighting. It's not to conquer the galaxy, it's not to spill chaos over into real space, it's not to eat all the biomass, it's not to reclaim their former empire or anything like that. It is to have a great fight. That's their super plan as a species goes. So they get wind of a crazy fight going down, they're going to check it out. If you attack them, you're going to get them excited, especially if it's a straight up honest fight. They're going to go, this is awesome, let's do this. This is fantastic for your living weapon theoretical concept that you're engineering. Not only are they able to multiply very well, they want to fight. And they will seek it out. They won't shy from it. But to fight, you gotta know what you're doing. And again, training can take a long time. Not for the orcs. They are genetically encoded with what we could call instinctual understanding of certain things. And at best, we could say some type of mutation level goes on when they are reaching maturation, that this orc will be a mech boy, this orc will be a pain boy, these orcs will be normal orc boys seeking out a fight, right? Whatever happens, whatever clicks in the orcs as they are created, leads to them opening up perhaps a genetic library and seeing, okay, this is how I understand technology. So a mech boy comes out of the ground womb, if you will, ready to take things apart and put them back together and ramshackle stuff and make stuff. This is fantastic. No downtime at all. The moment they spawn forth is the moment they do their orc things. And to that effect, they understand leadership in a simplistic enough way. I'm the biggest, so I'm the boss. Anybody has a problem with that, I bash your head in. Either you understand and back down, or you're dead, and therefore you can't challenge me anymore. And others see this and realize, hey, this guy means business, I can't fight that, let's follow it. We're going to have a good fight. Very simple in terms of orc culture with a K, to get the orcs arrayed in formation, ready to go. And I use the word formation as loosely as possible. All right, so they're able to, I don't want to say replicate, but multiply quickly and, be very numerous. They're able to get stuck in the fight right away and love it. And there's no training because everything's genetically encoded already in some crazy amount of bioengineering. Okay, that works. What about their secret weapon? Their secret weapon is the fact that as a society, the orc psyche as a whole has beliefs. Now, they don't know this themselves, but those beliefs equal their stuff working the way it does. Why do red orc vehicles go faster? Because on the whole, for whatever reason this was engineered or came to be, that red is fast, and red vehicles will be faster than non-red vehicles for orcs, and therefore they are. There are other things like this, but that's the best example. So they want to get stuck in. They love a good fight. They can multiply pretty quickly. They have no downtime from coming out of the womb, if you will, of the earth to fighting. And they don't need any training. Sounds like a pretty good living weapon to me. If you could corral that and launch it where you want, you have a force that won't ever tire of fighting. They won't get bored of it necessarily. They won't get disenchanted by it. PTSD, shell shock syndrome type things probably don't apply to them, given their physiology and makeup is so different and out there, and that they seek this stuff out. You're getting a force that will never truly tire of the fight. And the more they fight, the stronger they get. The bigger they get, obviously, so the stronger they get if they survive. This is dangerous. Now, what makes orcs silly is the fact that all they want is a good fight. And because they have nothing to kind of corral them a certain way, all this bluster and power and capability is squandered, if you could say, on looking for a good scrap. There's no real grand design behind it outside of, that was a fun fight, let's do it again. Thankfully for the galaxy, nobody's pulling the strings behind the scenes, because if the orcs unified and launched a massive bois in one direction to push through the galaxy from, let's say, galactic east to galactic west or whatever, good luck standing in their way and bleeding them down. They'll fight And they'll fight for weird reasons. That's a cool stick. That's a cool hat. They use teeth as currency. So if you got teeth for them, especially if they're freebooted, they'll fight with you. And you can recruit orcs as mercenaries in a way because of that. And it gets kind of silly and out there. Orcs work for comedic effect because of their good-natured wanting of a fight. This, in the doom and gloom there's only war setting, comes across kind of comedic. And it works. They're also ridiculously scary because of that same concept. If you think about it, you and your battalion are already on your fortress walls with artillery support, air support, and hardened position, ready to go, all weapons trained in at the kill box, no man's land, waiting for the orcs to arrive. You can see them off in the distance on the horizon. A sea of green, just about, broken up with random vehicle blocky shapes and whatever other weird tech is going on. And that sea grows ever larger. As they advance and get closer to you, you realize that where they were is also still a sea of green. That sea of green isn't getting closer to reveal the ground behind it. All it's revealing is more green. So it dawns on you. These orc numbers seem endless. You can't see on the horizon anything that isn't orky stuff anymore, and they're still approaching you. Well, they're starting to get within range and bring their stuff within range of you. The preliminary shots go out. You pepper the orc line with explosions. You're dropping orcs, you know they're dying by the dozens. Your fighter support in the air is doing dogfight duels and strafing runs and bombing runs, whatever else you can do. The artillery is reaching out and shooting and blowing up whole packs of orcs in the middle of their number, of their mass. There's no pause, there's no delay, there's no regrouping, there's no withdrawal. If anything, they seem to be spurred on and are approaching even faster. Well, now the bulk of your guns can open up, and it's a cacophony of noise and destruction. Orc bodies ripped apart, orc bloods, pouring onto the battlefield, turning the dirt into mud. They keep coming. You can hear them. The clattering of their axes against each other, the noise of their war cry, that wah that continually happens, and they are just bounding forward now. You're running out of ammunition in some of your big guns and need to be resupplied and ammo up again, and they're still coming. You know you've killed hundreds of them, but they seem to have their numbers fully replenished as if you never touched them, and they're upon your walls. You have orcs strapped with crude rockets jumping up to try and cut you apart, while the others shoot up from the bottom and try to knock down your walls, and you just keep firing at them and firing at them. You get engaged in gruesome melee, and maybe you beat them back. You beat them back in this battle. You take losses, but the orcs took 100-fold more. However, after the dust settles and the orcs seem to pull back, like high tide turning into low tide, you realize that horizon is still full of orcs. And that's what makes them dangerous. So that is why orcs are pretty over the top. And keep in mind that concept. Every fortress on the planet in a true orc invasion of a planet is dealing with the exact same numbers, if not more, or with Titan support. And it's like no matter what you do, their numbers seem without end. And it takes a real concerted effort, a real push by the part of your faction and all the reinforcements to truly beat them back in space, beat them back on the ground, and purge their spores from your planet to have any chance at surviving. Whatever happens, the casualties are going to be high on both sides. So that is why orcs are over the top. Why are they fighting this fight? Because the first war was so much fun. That's it. Your whole world turned upside down because decades ago, orcs had a really good fight here. Or something is calling to them. There's a really cool thing on the planet and they want it, right? Or the mysterious Xenos forces shifted a whole orc invasion to hit your sector of space instead of their sector of space. There is no rhyme or reason to why they're fighting you. And even if you win, your planet now has to deal with a season of orcs bursting out of the ground because you have to constantly try and get rid of their spores, which is nigh impossible, even if you know what you're doing. And you may not even know that's how they are replicating. So, good luck. That's at the end of the day, good luck. There is only war, and the orcs are here for it. In any case, orcs are over the top, right? Sounds like they would be able to beat back anything and just destroy the galaxy at large, but they haven't yet. Why? They're not consolidated in power. Gaskell does not command all of the orcs. Gaskell constantly is attacked and is, always looked at to be thwarted by the Imperium and any other force. And it's not like orcs are going to ally with the Tau or anything soon, so they'll have to deal with the Tau forces. They face a million battles just like every other faction, and because they have no clear true objective outside of a good fight, they're not looking to render anything extinct necessarily. They just want a good fight. Should any force able to truly be the force behind the scenes pulling the strings and get them mobilized in a proper sense, it would be doom for whoever they are thrown against. Anyways, that's it for the orcs. I figured they're a fun, over-the-top faction to start with. I had a lot of fun thinking about this ramble and doing it. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. I don't know what faction is going to be next, but I'm going to do another one, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, take it easy.